I hope everyone's having a great day. Well, Christians have long been warned that a one-world government and a one-world religion will be implemented during the closing hours on Earth. With powerful countries like the US, China, and Russia, how could this be? Wouldn't the sovereignty of nations rule out this possibility? Yet the Bible clearly indicates that one power will control the masses. Consider Revelation 13 verses 16 and 17. Here we read that he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell, except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. It's also common knowledge that everyone who receives this mark will be damned for all eternity. Those who don't receive the mark are going to be cut off from access to food, water, and the bare necessities of life. If you refuse the mark, you will be beheaded. For Christians, this part isn't that problematic, as they're going to be taken up in the rapture of the church. But we're still going to see signs of the times, and we're going to see the transformation of this world as it moves towards this horrible future. I'm going to go into how the Catholic Church has already signed agreements with a lot of Protestant denominations, as well as some evangelicals, also Muslims, Jews, and other religions, to form an ecumenical movement which is going to be the foundation of this one world religion. But I'm going to save the particulars of that for another day. Today I want to get into how the one world governing body will take control and is already laying the groundwork for this coup. As you probably already know, Agenda 2030 is the brainchild of global elitists and pushed by such groups as the WEF, the UN, the World Health Organization, and other nefarious groups. It's a dystopian nightmare of the highest order. The end game is to control everyone in the world under the guise of saving us all. It's chock full of evil schemes, beginning with population control. Food shortages will result in famines, and they're going to kill millions of people. Jesus prophesied in Matthew 24 and 7, he said there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. Food shortages will be caused by a combination of nature, war, and manipulation of food supplies, and the places where they'll be distributed. Food processing plants all over the United States have burned down in record numbers over the last year. Evil men inspired by Satan know that he who controls the food controls the world. So far in the United States, all we have seen is some empty shelves, but other parts of the world are not so fortunate. Governments are coming under tremendous pressure, and some are even falling. Our own government is in a shambles. This situation in this country is clearly deteriorating as fast as Biden's brain. Agenda 2030 is part of a scheme so dark and nefarious that its name can't be freely uttered on social media, and so I'm going to call it the Amazing Do-Over. Part of the Amazing Do-Over is to eradicate livestock and replace it with synthetic meat, forcing the average person to eat bugs and live in pods. Because as you know, you're going to own nothing and you will be happy. Technological advances from the Fourth Industrial Revolution will eliminate nearly all jobs, making our existence redundant and frankly wasteful, as we're going to be reduced to useless eaters. World government has almost achieved total surveillance control. We've willingly surrendered all hope of privacy by our use of computers. Our cell phones track us in ways not commonly understood. Our banking and bills are all online. Very little of our information is hidden from the wonderful world of computers. I have no delusions of secrecy whatsoever. The government knows more about me than I do. Where could I hide? To live in today's world, one must surrender a lot of information to their computer. In fact, it's a lot more than most of us can understand, and most of what can be done with this information is more than we can really imagine. The information is going to be used by the Antichrist and his minions to dominate the world. One of the biggest goals of the WEF is to consolidate power within a multinational globalist body that will supersede all other governments. It's like a world that is envisioned and glorified in John Lennon's lovely ballad, Imagine. The world will be as one. Sounds okay to the untrained ear, I suppose. But this train can't be stopped. It's all part of biblical prophecy, and Satan's plan is going to succeed, although its dominion is going to be very short-lived. Know this, if you do receive the mark, you're going to have less than 7 years to live, and then all eternity to spend in hell. The truth is, once the sovereignty of nations is burned to the ground, it will be all-out technocratic reign of the elitists. Once governments are under the dominion of the satanic cabal headed up by the UN and the WEF, nothing's going to stand in the way of the Antichrist causing all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or their forehead, and that nobody may buy or sell unless he has this mark. To give you some idea of how insane Klaus Schwab really is, he and his weird minions are toying with the idea of turning off the sun. Last week, the World Economic Forum of Klaus Schwab fame released a video advocating the use of space bubbles to block out the sun and save us from climate change. Yay! In a bizarre video released by the WEF, the organization floated the idea of futuristic space bubbles that could be used to effectively block out the sun and thus help eliminate climate change. The geoengineering project would theoretically reflect a portion of solar radiation back into space in order to cool the planet, and the video explains this while highlighting a recent study about the project from geniuses at MIT. The space bubbles will be made of thin plastic material, and they'll be manufactured by space robots before being deployed in the form of a raft at the L1 Lagrange point, where the gravity of the Earth and the Sun cancel each other out and the view of the Sun is always uninterrupted. According to this video, the device would cover an area as large as the country of Brazil, and it would be deployed above the atmosphere of the Earth. As you might hope, the video claims that the giant garbage bag would probably pose no risk of disrupting the planet's ecosystems because it will reside above the atmosphere. 60% of the time, it works every time. Or maybe it will fall to Earth and cover an area the size of the continental United States in a plastic film, which would be kind of like putting a plastic bag over your head for 300 million people. What could go wrong? Simply blocking out a portion of or all of the sun seems like it would lead to extreme changes that might be catastrophic, as sunlight is essential to life. Or not, what do I know, I'm just a crazy old man. But don't sweat it, the experts say it's safe. Carlo Ratti, one of the geniuses who worked on this plan, claims that this madness might be our final and only option to fight climate change. In other words, it's the safest way because impending doom from the sun monster is less than 8 years away. Ratti claims, geoengineering might be our final and only option. Yet most geoengineering proposals are earthbound, which poses tremendous risks to our living ecosystem. Space-based solutions would be safer. For instance, if we deflect 1.8% of the incident solar radiation before it hits our planet, we could fully reverse today's global warming. Which makes me wonder, what would 1.9% do? The timing of the video came just before Biden announced that he was focusing his powers on the executive branch on combating climate change and the green agenda. Regardless of what Congress does, King Biden is going to use his pen to sign off on whatever he needs to sign off on. Several Biden regime officials have also came out pushing the same acceleration line in an attempt to drum up urgency surrounding the climate crisis. So every last penny that you have will go towards putting out the sun. The world's problems, both real and imagined, are too much for one nation, and Satan has convinced man that the only way is to build the Tower of Babel all over again. And once again, God will shut it down, but this time he's going to shut it down forever. Well, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you in a while.